that may be under pressure in terms of what's coming 2025? Talking about the Dolphins and the Bears. Well, for Chicago, holding their joint practice at their home field ahead of Sunday's tilt with Miami. And for Chicago, it's a new era with the new head coach and Ben Johnson. He is tasked with having Caleb Williams shine and perform. Expectations are certainly high in the Windy City. And we go to Hallis Hall where we have our guy Kyle Long, Bears logo right there on the chest, and two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden. Guys, I heard there's a little bit of an altercation today. Would you characterize it as a fight? You guys are there. You tell me.
Well, there was a few scrums, I would say. Look, it's hot out here, Tommy, okay? And this is joint practice. These guys have been in training camp, beating the hell out of each other. And now a stranger shows up and is trying to take your lunch money? I don't think so. A lot of these things spill over after the play, but they broke it up pretty quick.
I mean, that's what you expect, right? First opportunity of hitting an opposing color, opposing team. And the intensity was at an all-time high. And we even saw head coach from Miami, Mike McDaniels, trying to get involved to try to break up the scrum a little bit, impersonating with Stan Van Gundy.
Yep.
He didn't get on anyone's ankle or legs, but, trying to pull the players apart because they were wasting time, not getting your reps that you needed. But that's what's expected in training camp. And it was Stan, right? Wasn't Stan on the ground during the heat?
Yeah, and then Vrabel jumped into the scrum last week. He split his face open.
Yes.
This is a theme this week, Tommy.
Football is back.
It's training camp, baby.
Hey, I'm excited, and you guys certainly know better than I do what to look out for. So if you guys say it's all good, it's certainly all good. Kyle, let's talk about your Bears. And I know you're an offensive guy, but word on the street from practice today is that defense won the day.
Yeah, and you know what? This is a point for the Chicago Bears where they're looking to bolster that defense. They're trying to get more out of those rushers, guys like Montez Sweat. Well, they bring in Grady Jarrett. Deo Adengbo is a big-bodied guy that they look to develop, and a guy like Grady Jarrett can pour into these younger players. And what we saw today was a ton of opportunities for one-on-ones and a ton of wins for the Chicago Bears. I really like Dexter Sr. on the inside as well. I think he goes from a guy who had a breakout season last year to being a potential Pro Bowl type lineman for the Chicago Bears this year.
And I think when you look at the mentality of the Chicago Bears today, the defense has really performed mightily. And I'm not surprised because you talked about some of the veteran presence they have on the defensive side, but we can't forget about D.A., Dennis Allen, where you can say whatever you want to say about his inability to be successful as a head coach. You can't say the same about what he brings to the table as the defensive coordinator throughout his NFL coaching career. And right now, he has this defense rolling, and this should be a very, very entertaining year. And they were outstanding today, even without their best cornerback in Jalen Johnson.
So I'm going to get to Tua's day in a second here, but if we stay with Chicago and talk about the offense, B-Mac, this is sort of a, what do you want to say, growing pains when it comes to Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. How would you characterize what you saw today from that unit?
Well, I think it's safe to say the offense, they're not quite where the defense is. And that's usually the case, especially during training camps. Usually the defense gets off to a hot start, and then the offense gradually comes along. And we had the opportunity of talking to head coach Ben Johnson, and he talked about, just taking one day at a time. But one thing he emphasized, Kyle, regardless, when they play football, they're determined to be the most physical team on the football field, and that's on either side. And today we saw some highs and we saw some lows from the offensive side of things with Caleb Williams. But that's kind of expected when you talk about having an entire new system to kind of get acclimated to and be comfortable as best as possible. So, each day they're getting better, but yet and still, I wouldn't say the offense is where the defense is right now, but that's not a surprising thing.
Yeah, and let's just be honest here. Defense is so easy. You just go out there, they tell you go find the football, all right? On the offensive side of the ball, we got play calls, we got checks, we've got a language you have to learn. And for a guy like Caleb Williams going into his second year, this is an entire other language that he's learning. So, yes, it's year 2 for Caleb, but I'm going to count it as about 1.5 because he had a different coach last year. A lot to learn. Defense, go pin your ears back and get the ball. Offense, growing pains.
Kyle, let me follow up with you, though, because there was some video that surfaced earlier in the week of Caleb Williams frustrated, some stuff leaked right now. What's the pulse of Bears Nation when we talk about Caleb Williams in this system here, year 2?
Well, hey, look. It's a good thing that all the eyes are on the quarterback position of the Chicago Bears because that means that they're doing something right. They drafted a guy that has potential to pull them to the top of the NFC North, in my opinion. He's got so much talent. You got to be able to develop it. We saw flashes of greatness from Caleb Williams last year. Throws he made across the body, being able to scramble and create more time for himself. But then there's the thing in bright red at the bottom of the screen, 68 sacks, drive killers, just absolute momentum enders for an offense. So Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, they got to get on the same page, timing and rhythm, get the football out. That solves a lot of problems.
And the post for Bears Nation, I think, Tommy, is safe to say they want to see results right now. Because when you look at the entire black and blue division, the NFC North, I think it's safe to say, my personal opinion, Caleb has the most pressure out of any quarterback in this division. The reason why is because of the skill set, the potential, being drafted first overall. Didn't really have in the year you want to have a year ago, but then look what they did. They went and got the most coveted offensive mind in Ben Johnson. They went and improved the offensive line tremendously. You still have talented weapons. They went and drafted a tight end top 10. So now when you look at what Ben Johnson was able to do with Jared Goff throughout his entire tenure there in Detroit, if you're a Bears fan, you don't want to hear about the growing pains. You want to see the results. But luckily enough for the Bears fans, this is preseason, this is training camp. This is where you get the kinks and everything out of the equation, so you're ready to roll by week 1. And the last time I checked, week 1 and week 2 are divisional matchup games for the Chicago
Vikings
Bears.
and Lions.
Vikings and Lions.
Couldn't draw it up any better than
the
that.
post right now, it's easy peasy, but man, they want to see them get up to a fast start because of everything they've done to help the young quarterback out.
Yeah, it's funny, depending on where you're at. Like if you're in Denver, you're hoping Bo Nix avoids the slump, but in Chicago, you're hoping for the surge from Caleb Williams here in 2025. Speaking of quarterbacks, what's the objective take for Tua today, fellas? Because a lot of people will read 3 INTs, B-Mac, but is there anything else that we should be putting into context here?
Yes, Tommy. We saw 3 interceptions. We saw one in the red zone. Clearly you want to see that. But one thing we have to say and emphasize, Tyreek Hill was not practicing today. Jalen Waddle was practicing today, but we saw Jalen Waddle in and out. So when you look at what Tua was working with, he did more with less. I can say this, in 2-minute situation, a 2-minute drill period, he really was able to flow the offense down the length of the football field, and he did so without Jalen Waddle because Jalen wasn't really participating throughout that opportunity. So for me personally, the rhythm has to be a little more precise in terms of how they run their offense. But in all, don't jump on Tua for the 3 interceptions. I think he had a real successful 2-minute period, and that's something you want to see with your quarterback, especially when your top pass catchers are not in the huddle.
Yeah, one thing that I saw from Tua today, for the first time being in person, getting to watch him, incredible touch on the football. He gets that thing to turn over right over the defender right on time. And yeah, there's interceptions, but it's practice. You're trying to fit those balls into tight windows. You're trying to make reads you might not necessarily make in the game. You're getting these reps now. That's why we practice 30 days until the game. So for both quarterbacks and big people that are hating on both these quarterbacks, pump the brakes. We got 30 days, man.
No doubt. We are trending, though, towards regular season football. We do have the preseason game on Sunday. So, guys, give me something to look out for as players, as fans, with the Dolphins and Bears over the weekend.
When we look at not seeing the ones play for Chicago, and I don't know if we heard anything with the Miami Dolphins, but I probably would assume neither starting group will participate as well. It's about the young guys. You know, what would Tyson Bagent look like in this offense, you know, with the Chicago Bears? He looked pretty good today. You can tell his experience is really felt, even though this is a new offensive staff, but he looked pretty good today. And the same can be said for some of the young studs for the Miami Dolphins. So week 1, kind of, for most organizations, they are devoting their attention to the young guys. They're trying to establish depth because we know depth is very, very important throughout the length of the NFL season.
Yeah, Tyson Bagent, you can just hear the guys at this facility, they rave about Tyson Bagent. It's not often that it's the second-string quarterback that's getting raved about when Caleb Williams is the big developmental piece. That's what I'm excited to watch. Tyson Bagent, incredible value there for the Chicago Bears. If he goes out there and balls out, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some people calling the Chicago Bears.
But Chicago won't answer those calls. They bet not.
All right, that's our guys, Kyle Long and Bryant McFadden from a spicy joint practice out there in Chicago.
Hey, Tommy.
Yes, sir.
Tommy.
Yes, sir.
I'd be remiss if I gotta highlight my guy Kyle here because, you know, just walking around, he's like the prince of the kingdom here still.
Stop.
And he almost got someone arrested.
No!
Today. While we're watching practice, you know, we're on the ground. Yeah, because we're ground level, so Kyle decided to go up and act like he's part of the media in real life. And he went up to the media and a fan saw him. He's like, Kyle, I love you, Kyle. I just want an autograph. And Kyle just kind of looked at him. And he didn't really big shoulder him, but he was going to give him an interview, an autograph. But security came and just bombarded the poor guy and just got him out of there.
Many scrums today.
One of many scrums. That was the best scrum, by the way, that happened in the media bleacher of the field. Forget what happened on the football field, and it involved our guy Kyle. And he also sweated out his nice linen shirt that he wore here this morning. You see he's wearing team-issued polo, Chicago Bear polo, because the polo is somewhere drenched in the hallway right now.
I'm glad we got that in, because if I had known that information, we would have moved that story right up to the top. All right, Kyle, B-Mac guys, certainly appreciate it, my guys.